not very rich, not very inspiring, and anything that comes out of the Pakistani propaganda industrial complex needs to be assessed thoroughly.
So, what will be India's reaction now towards those culprits who have killed innocents in India via these Pakistanis sitting abroad in other countries other than Pakistan? So, what do you have to say about that? What will the Indian government do to teach them lessons?
I think India has reacted already. Now it's up to Pakistan to react, and we'll have to wait and watch.
That is on Pakistan's side. I'm talking about those sitting up in other countries other than Pakistan. Those who have orchestrated earlier wars, the earlier attacks. What about them? They shouldn't be left untaught lessons.
I think Indians appreciate and value the idea of free speech. It is something central to a civilization. Voices of dissent are built up in India, not just merely tolerated, but we value that. So in open societies, if individuals with multiple positions want to peacefully articulate themselves, then India would have no problems with that. Two things. The moment they begin to attack our citizens physically or our interests physically, we would certainly take cognizance of that and continue to work with the authorities to avert that or bring them to books. Aside from that, we'd also continue to lean on these countries to make sure that the law isn't broken in their thing. That's entirely their discretion. So I'm afraid that India would just have to wait and watch as to what these people do. But the Indian diaspora is also extremely excited, as you would know, Ganesh, better. And, for any propaganda nonsense that these people, the occasional people indulge in, perhaps the Indian diaspora would retaliate by just being peaceful and speaking the truth. Truth alone triumphs. Satyameva Jayate. It's not truth triumphs. Truth alone triumphs. And every Indian would be invested in that idea.
So those who supplied funds, etc., to Pakistan to go and attack India or conduct terrorist attacks, etc., as this military personnel has accepted, I'll reiterate the question. What will Indian government do to those sitting abroad in other countries other than India who have remote controlled the attacks in India via funding?
We have to pick our battles, I'm afraid. It is a problem. I concede that it is a problem. But right now, that's also something that's been continually happening even before this terrorist attack. And there are no easy options on the table. What India can do is to push them back on FATF, as you would know, and try to dry up the pond for Pakistan, and then continue to work with global authorities towards making sure that these people are pulled up. But there's nothing else that you can do. I would say safeguard your borders and focus on economic growth, but at the same time push back against Pakistan and push back really hard. But get rich before you get old. And Indian focus should continue to be the economy and pick your battles real wisely.
Yeah, battles need to be picked wisely, but then we have to keep records of who did what. And I think those people who did all those maybe in their old ages right now, and we need to bring them to, we have to ask Pakistan who were the US officials, etc., and the UK officials, etc. I'll be naming the countries very, very openly. Who were they and who has funded, and give their names. So they have to be brought into international courts and they have to give answers.
Yes, India could do that. It's not an either or situation, of course. I agree with you that India has to press for transparency, no question. And there's also a sense of remorse that seems to be brewing, generally speaking, amongst Western societies, and they're waking up to this, the Pakistani problem. And I think, generally speaking, if India can work more closer ties and make sure that we are able to avert these situations even better. So yeah, yes to transparency, but what's more valuable is to work with these countries to avert these situations and just focus again, put your eye back on the ball and focus on the ball. The ball is prosperity, and these are situations that we have to react to violently, of course.
See, again, unless and until we don't do appropriate teaching to these individuals who the allegations are there now, it is for them to work on those allegations that the Pakistani personnel has done. We have to expect a reply from those countries, and whomsoever was involved, they need to come and tell what exactly are you going to do about these people who are in your countries.
You're not going to change their mind, Ganesh. It's just not. You're not going to change an Islamist's mind. You're not.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about. See, we have identified already, and we have been. See, unless and until the cancer is entirely removed from their roots, it is probably going to return back, and that should not be the case. We have to do a proper exercise so that all the people involved in the past also have to be taught lessons, so that the message is clear and crisp, that if you disturb Indians unnecessarily, you will not be spared. That message has to go clear.
One of the things that I worry about is covert operations by jihadi complex in Pakistan in Indian cities. This is something, not at all wars fought through missiles and guns and weapons, because that would be honorable, as despicable an act of war is, that is at least honorable. But, terror, one of the things that we have to worry about is what would Pakistan do to activate their assets, ground assets in India, and they have some, we all know this, in order to create more mass panic. And that's something that we need to focus on. And I think what you're saying acts as a carpet, a runway for those events. So you're right, we have to worry about this. But right now is the time for us to teach these guys a solid lesson. And then we have to fight future wars on an as and when basis when they do occur. There are no good answers. There are no good options on the table, I'm afraid.
See, I don't think the current governments who are aware of what the situation is are going to tolerate nonsenses in their own grounds, right? I think UK and US will not tolerate rascals in their grounds. So obviously they are morally duty bound to address those themselves at first, and we have to give them ample amount of time. While this statement has come from the Pakistani personnel, so let's not be pessimistic about those things as well, and let's see what happens. Hi Raghu, why don't others speak? Brandon is on phone. Jay, comedian, yeah, please. I think Plural is alone speaking, so we have to support him. Hi Mudura.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was just away. So one of the things that I worked while reflecting on is desperate attempts by Pakistan to almost Palestinize this problem. Because if you look at the way in which the ISPR has responded to this verbally, they seem to have, they have categorically said that innocent civilians have lost their lives and children have lost their lives. These are markers of how they wish to position this conflict. And there's already an industrial complex out there which, globalizes the war between the two countries in the Middle East. And the tendency of Pakistan to co-hashtag these problems in a way where it resonates with the communities and global community in an easily digestible packaged form. This is something that Pakistan will try. And the capacity of Western, and I say this with no ambiguity, with capacities of Western media houses to lap this narrative up and dish it out to their masses is infinite. So the BJP government, for all its strengths, and I'm an advocate of the BJP government, I don't agree with everything they do. I run rooms where I, hopefully in good faith, critique the government as much as I support it. But generally speaking, the BJP government seems to have a weakness of communicating to the world. And, responding to overtures by the global media in a dismissive, callous form. And I'm afraid that gears will have to be switched. You young Indians who understand the problem will have to be collaborated with so that a perfectly holistic picture is presented. A soft power blitzkrieg is launched into, so the people of the world have a reasonable grasp. Otherwise, you'll end up winning the war on ground zero or the battle on ground zero, but you'd have lost the war of narratives. And considering the nature of AI and algorithms and whatnot, we know that the digital theater is just as important, if not more, than the actual theater of war. So I would submit to all Indians tuning in, politically we could be different and that's okay. I got a younger brother, I got an elder brother, we have diversity of opinions and we still come together, we look after each other, no matter how different we are politically. You and I and the rest of us are brothers in arms and sisters in arms. We are one country. We could have political differences, but everybody has a role to play. It's a team sport. And I think that it's time for us to be reasonable, but at the same time help the global population appreciate a holistic picture. If this is something that's worthwhile talking about, in a few days you'll find the New York Times, the WAPOs, usual suspects, BBCs, all these guys cranking up the narrative against India. And the question is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So sure, you can emotionally outcry, and you could, and maybe some of us may lose a loved one, who knows, such as war. You could emotionally outcry, or you could be skilled in your approach, which I know you're capable of, and clinical and unpack reality from ground zero. So regardless of your political persuasion, this is your chance to be reasonable and illustrate that, like me and you too have love for the country regardless of our politics, and you will stand by your country during moments of crisis. And I would submit this with the greatest degree of love, affection, and respect for our brethren. We could have our political differences later, but this is a moment of war when your people and mine are under siege.
Why do you think Pakistan at this moment announced regarding UK and US, etc.? It was a strategy, I assume. It won't come out of the blue like that, isn't it?
Sorry, Ganesh, can you repeat that, please?
See, this Pakistani personnel who announced that there was involvement of UK, etc., US he named, and other countries he named. It was not out of the blue. I mean, it was a strategic move to get those countries involved to help Pakistan or something like that, isn't it? Something was there behind his mind for announcing that at this moment, isn't it?
Excuse me, sorry. So, I think this is likely to be a, excuse me, sorry. Yeah, pardon me. So it's likely to be a situation where the Pakistani armed forces will have to seem like they're brave in front of the people. And it's the reason why Shahid Afridi, Shoaib Akhtar, names that all of us are familiar with, these cricketers from Pakistan who've benefited from the Indian monetary system tremendously. They keep playing to the gallery of the masses, and they keep reiterating rhetorics constantly. So the Pakistani army is already losing credibility within their country, as you would know. Therefore, they have to seem like either they are rank victims or they're rank perpetrators. There is no in between. So they would use every arsenal, every chink in their armor to make sure that they peddle. Right now, they seem to have settled for the victim position. But, along with that would come a position of being this incredibly powerful, only Islamic country with nuclear bombs and F-16s, and how they gave us a muto jawab. And so it's going to happen in tandem, and the global media will participate in this, Ganesh. You will see it. It's going to happen.
See, if US denies that it had any kind of role in disturbing Indians, then it would be a case where Pakistan has fallen flat on their face for another case of telling lies in public.
Yeah, but he's not too sensitive to that, because for him, what his people think is more relevant. For the whole world, remember, even Osama bin Laden never really happened, because the people have bought this bullshit that Osama bin Laden never really happened. Did you see the dead body? I didn't. Who knows? It's propaganda by them evil Americans. Blah, blah, blah. So the thing is, I would submit a slightly different approach. Expect the Americans and the British to have somewhat supported the Pakistani army, somewhat, which is, it's our enemy, it's not theirs, in their assessment. So the way to go about this is to see how to seduce the Americans and the Chinese more particularly into the Indian camp, and this is all statecraft. And we have to be able to give them plum investment opportunities into India and get them to drop the bag. And when they do so, Pakistan has a tendency to beautifully calibrate, and you got to respect your opponent. What he does is, until now, he was in the American schema, and then the writing was on the wall. The Americans had enough of his BS, but then quickly enough, he jumped into the Chinese schema, and now the Chinese have his back. So India is going to have to wean away all of Pakistan's supporters by giving them access, and I think India has done well, as you would have noticed. We recently, Silver, I know you're waving, we'll get back in just a bit. I'm not done here, so pardon me. So, the thing is that India's done well to do a free trade agreement with the UK, as you would have noticed, Ganesh, yesterday. And I think these are important ones to do, to bring in detractors as part of your side, and over long time preferences begin to drain the swamp. We have to do that over long-time preferences and not emotionally outrage against some F-16 spare parts being given to Pakistan. That's the name of the game. It's going to happen, but the question is, how do we get them to cooperate more with us? And that's all long-term. Indian economy has to grow, and keep your friends close but your enemies closer. Bring them closer to you and give them enough of a dog in the fight so that they begin to bat for you.
So there is a huge involvement of Chinese economy in India. So I don't think China will do some drastic thing. It is unlikely. So Pakistan is again on the wrong boots. But they are counting on them. I don't think it will help them big time.
So the Chinese see the world in many grays. This is something that the world is continuing to learn about. That they don't see it in black and white terms that typically the West, the Western narrative, I'm not saying is simplistic, but it's more black and white, and they're categorical, and that has benefits. It lends itself to scale. It's more scalable, and global cooperation and domination alike are more easy to achieve with the categorical approach. So there's wisdom in that. But the Chinese tend to see the world in many hues. So there's 50 shades of grays, I guess, ostensibly so, between black and white. and the Chinese will continue to fund the Pakistanis at the same time intensify economic cooperation with you. So the question is India also going to play the same game by saying, okay, if you're going to fund the terrorists in Pakistan and seek economic collaboration with me, there's no reason why I can't continue to sustain that. So Chinese interests in Pakistan perhaps will have to be more keenly looked at. And at the same time, India will have to wean away China from Pakistan by presenting itself as a much more credible, viable, prosperous society than Pakistan. Chinese are not stupid. Everybody understands, the power of wealth and prosperity. And India offers just that. So the question is, Pakistan is a hedging mechanism for India's adversaries. And over time, you'll find more countries. As India rises, real estate around India becomes more valuable. Because then they can train their guns, they can do a whole bunch of things against you. So to tactfully defang that and skillfully bring them under your sphere of influence is going to be the need of the century, not just the hour. So we can't emotionally outrage. We have to accept it and then try to, wean them towards us, I'm afraid.
I don't think China is currently going to help Pakistan.
Your scalp to make you unconscious.
Stating that it is standing behind it.
Do it!
Get roast for it,
It's a
bro.
bit trick
Put it
to
on
gas
your
as of
dissolves in, I think,
what I
15 minutes. It gets you going for 30.
I don't know if this is fake news. I haven't fact-checked it, but apparently China has already said that Pakistan has the right to respond. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
But I haven't fact-checked it, but this is apparently what the Chinese have said. Breaking today, after the strikes, retaliatory.
So it has been doing that almost all the time, right? China.
Yes, but insofar as today's event, where we stand now, apparently the Chinese have said this, saying that, so the Chinese are calibrating this in a way where India is the offender, because language matters, and subtext matters, fine print matters. And by characterizing Pakistan's attack as a counterattack, the Chinese are also helping shape the narrative that India was the offender. So that gives us an inkling of an idea as to what China will do.
See, when China is doing that unnecessarily, when it knows very well, it is not that its intelligence is not aware of what things have happened. It is leaving a footprint for the world to know what it is. And it also shows that China is also afraid of India in its progress. So that is a sign that we are going in the right directions. And that kind of fear should be there in the world. I mean, you can't mess around with India for a long time. They should have it at the back of their mind.
Yes, so look, it is a tough calibration for all of us. And I think more than ever before, India now needs to go the full Monty and bring in China into her sphere. And, once upon a time, who could forget that India and America were in different camps? And then now they seem to be waltzing in the dance floor together. No permanent friends and enemies, I'm afraid, as you would know all too well, Ganesh. And this is the name of the game. This is the life we've chosen. And, we have to rise above this and say, okay, you did, I did, okay. So, but all that is bygones. How can we meaningfully engage each other for a more... China is likely to do a deal with you now because of Trump. Trump has put China underneath the microscope for the whole world. Generally speaking, building an anxiety against Chinese, hegemony within quotes. So China is more malleable to do a deal with you, and hence assuage, domestic concerns of job losses and whatnot. So when he's vulnerable, and most vulnerable, even though he's doing sly things on the side, it might be an opportune moment for India to see the writing on the wall, bring the Chinese to your side. And you could still have these minor skirmishes. If you must, you and I can still play cricket, but, that's fine. But you should be on my side. And this is something that Indians will have to handle with a great degree of nuance and maturity.
See, I won't name any countries, but I would say like India is not ignorant about the vulnerabilities at various ends in the world. It knows to put that to use, and we always try to put that to good use.
They
We have not attacked
You
any
know her,
country
she turned out to be alright. There's still people
far
out
the
here.
entire history that I'm aware of.
We should bring him in.
So,
Look this guy.
having said that,
Oh, fuck this guy.
if somebody is trying to be over smart things, that's not going to work for long.
GPS on the bottom of the barrel. What are they putting in?
Yes, I'd say focus on the economy, accelerate Chinese investments into India, and this is an unpopular position to take in India at this point in time. But accelerate Chinese participation in the Indian economy, get some buying power with the Chinese, so that they're able to not hurt you when the chips are down the most. When there are resolutions in the offing, you need to build more. China is a relationship-oriented country. And this is a fundamental difference between the East and the West that sometimes Indians will have to focus on. That if you build a relationship with them, they wouldn't let you go no matter what. It's a relationship-oriented society. And look at Pakistan,
US is too
You're a witch.
late to
You
respond
gotta
to
tell
China's
I see a
in
darkness
the
in
wrong
you.
direction.
And in that darkness, eyes staring back at me. Brown eyes.
Yes, but before that, the point I was trying to submit is, since Chinese people, generally speaking, respond well to relationships, Indians and Pakistanis have taken full advantage of that, right? Because even during 9/11, during Osama bin Laden, China didn't condemn Pakistan. Don't forget that. And so, Chinese, generally speaking, tend to back you all the way through, for good or bad. That's not the point, but this is the qualia of China. So India will have to slowly but steadily build confidence with China. You are the smaller country, and there's no point in allowing pride to get in the way. Larger countries will have tantrums, that's just a fact, but India will have to develop the skills to get them to see why India is a secure, better investment than Pakistan, and build relationship with Chinese so that over 10 years, 15 years, long time preferences, you're able to reverse the scales. And generally speaking, Indians need to be strategic in our interest. Our interest, what did China do to the US? China said, I'll lay low, buy time, first point. Second point, they said, I will take all the technology from the US and accelerate my industrialization. 3, I'll secure plum deals from them. And they never got into any altercation until the last few years.
See, I think China is trying to.
So India can actually do it back to China, Ganesh, saying, I don't want to pick a fight with you. You're sitting on a bunch of technology I need access to. I need jobs. You're becoming expensive to conduct business out of. Chinese business guys know this. Vietnam, the modern success story, ASEAN are all funded by the Chinese. So China has surplus money, it's got technology, and they're becoming expensive for their own businesses to operate out of. So India can learn from the Chinese trick book and say, I'm going to have to work with this guy, don't pick a fight with him, resist where it's important, but don't fall for a narrative where Pakistan will say China and I are best friends, whatever I say, China does. You got to be more, as a country, we have to be more skillful than that.
Well, I think the market might go up. I don't know why that's why. Let's see what happens. What do you think about that?
Sorry, say that again, please, Ganesh.
Today the Indian market is going up, isn't it?
Yes, it will continue to rise, and that's one of the things. The Pakistani market will possibly go down, and it's in an open society. Markets give you a sense of the pulse of the people. And the fact that Indian markets...
no matter how much you tell lies on the media, the public at large understands where it is. So where the market goes today in India and Pakistan, we will know the truth.
Yes, but the question is, what will the market do tomorrow? Because if Pakistan stages a fight, then if they strike you back tonight, for example, what will the Bombay Stock Exchange do tomorrow? This is the question. So I would submit that have 10-year positions in the market as ever, Ganesh. You're a smart guy, and say that anything that happens within 10 years is just white noise, brown noise, whatever. And larger markers of the market usually emerge trend lines over 10 years and continue to focus and consolidate there. One of the things, I'm glad you brought this up because Startup India, as you know, has funded many defense startups. One of the things that as a trend line from a market perspective, not to speak about money during a tragic hour, but from a social capacity perspective, is the listing and the scaling up of defense startups in India.
Now that you brought up the defense thing, I think today the defense stocks may go up, probably.
Yes, defense stocks, blue chips, of course, and then you have the emerging order where you have well-funded startups. And now the Indian government may be investing in capacities by placing orders and underwriting their order books by saying, here is a drone company, for example, and I used to need 100 drones, now I need 5,000 drones in the next 6 months. And give you the advances and the assurances that the government will not back out of it no matter what. And what that means to valuations and potential listings in the public, in the bourses, is something that is worthwhile tracking. Indian defense startups will tend to do very, very well.
So, hi Raghu, are you there? Comedian, Madhura, Vajra.
Yeah, we're trying to get more voices in the house. If you guys want to weigh in, that'll be wonderful. Comedian, are you still there, bro? Raghu?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting here watching YouTube videos. I mean, I don't know. This is like seems to be, the never-ending story, the song that never ends. It's just, unfortunate, and these drone startups. I don't know if you've seen any of the war footage from Ukraine, but Russia has, and the Ukrainians, because of U.S. Technology coming out of Silicon Valley with regards to these. I don't know, you wouldn't call them automated drones, but you would call them like precision strike drones where they're able to, through video cameras, essentially detonate in, target-rich environments and deploy from fields, and maybe even, there's some automation maybe with these drones because they're acting like landmines that just come to life and make very smart targeting decisions. So it's just remarkable how these drones have in a way turned the tide against larger weapon systems, meaning that artillery, transportation, everything is impacted by these drones in a way that they weren't impacted before. It used to be kind of more symmetrical, and now these drones have completely changed the battle landscape and have become a major priority. I think the U.S. is making a big push and planning on fully adopting and deploying these types of drone technologies in all their army and marine and basically the infantry type of deployment where they're becoming so important. And then you think about the naval sea battles and how drones or hypersonic missiles can cause mass chaos to very large weapon systems like aircraft carriers or larger naval vessels. So I'm just saying that technology has caught up very quickly, and the Russia-Ukraine conflict has spurred this massive innovation in militarized automation and simplistic drones. I mean, I don't know if you remember that one video of the drone swarms, where like a C-130 airplane drops thousands of drones above a target and essentially completely rendering entire cities neutered. Don't leave your house, otherwise a smart drone is going to fly towards your forehead and detonate. So these things are real, and they're really being rolled out. So yeah, India has maybe a huge advantage. Because I don't know, maybe they can just de-escalate. That would be the best thing for India and for Pakistan. Um,
Yeah, but just you touched upon what I think is a super important point, right? How low-cost weapons seem to offer a sophisticated solution, which is drones, and I think it's a very important point. But as much as drone technology seems to scale up, so is anti-drone tech. So I think there are 4 countries in the world now. India's joined that club, albeit lately, which has built the technology or have built the technology to basically disarm drones by using some kind of a scramming or whatever to completely paralyze drones the moment they get into a certain visibility range. And then as that technology begins to scale up, you're likely to have beyond visible range capacities wherein you're able to pick up the advent of drones and perhaps paralyze them many, many miles away. And you're right, but over a period of time, you'll find creative societies to respond to this challenge vigorously. One of the things that we need to think about is supply of drones by the Chinese to the Pakistanis. This is something to weave this back into the point you were making, where potentially you have a swamp drone kind of a thing, but a lot has been said about these drones, but the problem, comedian, a challenge for these technologies is they need to be dynamic at the location of the war. You could feed in a bunch of coordinates and fly them, and they could perhaps judiciously, some of them, get through the wall and cause havoc. But you need to have a current live network in order for the systems to be dynamic. And the fact that we don't have a network globally which can't be penetrated is something that the drone companies aren't telling you. So these swamp drones aren't dynamic. They're dynamic in Beijing or in a certain hotspot, but beyond that, they don't seem to have much of a utility. Although they can cause the occasional problem for open societies, no question.
yeah, I mean, I know India has a lot of satellites, and Starlink is assisting the Ukrainians in deployment of their targeting weapons, with drones and other weapon systems. But China is also licensing their satellite technology for targeting purposes to Russia. And look at Yemen. They're using Chinese satellite technology to target missiles into Israel. So I don't know. I don't know how advanced the Pakistani army is. I assume they're actually pretty rudimentary, and so their rhetoric and propaganda is kind of indicates that they are not necessarily prepared for a large scale war. Thus, their asymmetrical capabilities, and as you said earlier, their terror squads in India, which are sleeper cells, can cause mass chaos and panic. And so, if India escalates the war, then you'll have these microaggressions to counterbalance the larger scale conflict. And so, India is just in a very precarious, delicate position where it has to really choose diplomacy, strength, and security. And otherwise, it's Pandora's box.
Yes, and just to address anti-drone as an industry, not just a technology, but there's a whole industry that's getting built up in India on this. We seem to have developed critical technologies and capacities using the domestic startup ecosystem schema in order to push back against these modern weapons, low-cost weapons that all kinds of weird people can get a hand on, and it would hopefully help us understand the enormous challenges that are ahead, no question. But also, the ray of hope is that there are things that we can do and indeed are doing, but way more work ahead in order to address this. This is a problem, and India has to look into it very, very seriously. It's also exasperated by the fact that you have the world's longest hostile border. There's no other country in the world that has almost 4,000 kilometers of hostility, starting from Pakistan all the way down to China, now Bangladesh. Cambodia and whatnot. So these low-cost systems are designed to create panic and havoc in local villages in regions afar from the capital of India, and disrupt regular lives and things like that. So it's important for India to scale up anti-drone technology and position it in places that are far-flung, where it's likely to have a nuisance impact significantly higher than they would in the mainland.
Yeah, I would imagine China is like a major manufacturer of, anti-drone technologies. I mean, they're so advanced in their manufacturing and at such scale, it's unbelievable. And when you just look at your average commercial drone technology and how most of that stuff comes out of China, I assume, these low cost toys with C4 explosives. um, I don't know if you know what a mesh network is, but like, if there's some way to essentially create a network that is, impenetrable, I mean, it is an amazing advancement in technology. And then when you mix in automated tech targeting technologies and AI, like, it is the future of war. And it's just ridiculous that we as humans invest so much time and money and capital and startups to creating automated weapons of death, but it's just the nature of technology to constantly, process, improve, and uh, scale down and scale up at the same time. So it's just unbelievable what we do to ourselves as human beings instead of, building farms and shared resources. I mean, India and Pakistan could be great brothers and sisters. And I've never met a Pakistani that I didn't like, and I've never met an Indian that I didn't like. So it's just, it's same thing with Israel Palestine. I don't know if you've ever been there either, but I mean, everybody's great on both sides. It's the governments that keep misappropriating our dollars to invest in supposed security. But then you have these terrorist cocksuckers that ruin the party for everybody. And this is the problem with angry, violent, radicalized people. And God knows what they're trying to achieve or what they're thinking, or how they're co-opted or how they're put into these types of positions, or if there's other sinister aspects.
So you saying it is no honesty left? Is that what you're saying? There's no honesty left?
No, there's never been honesty, meaning like all wars have been based on deception and false flags. I mean, you can't get hundreds of thousands of people to go to another city to ruthlessly murder all those people in those city. I mean, look at, I don't know how much you know about Roman history, but when you look at the genocides and the enslavements and the profiteering from conquest, it's the biggest business, because it's pure profit. It's, you just take it, there's, so there is no honesty in war. It's all based on deception. That's the art of war, is to deceive. Otherwise you lose. It's really just how immoral can you be to win, meaning that, especially if nobody finds out. I mean, but that's the secret, is to win by letting nobody find out. I mean, so India has a capability that Pakistan does not have. And, it's just a question of willpower, but it's also a question of how crazy are you going to get, because there's that, what is it called? It's like that Roman victory where you don't actually win. Pericles' victory, I think. But anyways, meaning that even if you win the war, you actually lost it because you spent so much blood and toil and resources. So look at America. Yes, we have the Federal Reserve and basically unlimited money to shit on the world, But the problem is we suffer from inflation, and then it's just war profiteering. It's offshoring dollars to tax havens for for the wealthiest people on the planet. I mean, it's never gonna end, and hopefully though it's done with intelligence. And I think Trump is one of those people who carries a big stick and walks with strength, but also intelligence in the sense that it's not that there's a frugality to war. You can't really win a war unless you practice frugality, and it's like a herd frugality. The people of India don't want high taxes. The people of India want no taxes. The people of India want prosperity. Same thing with Pakistan. Say what you want about Islam and the psychological and problems with the Quran and the history and everything else.
Yeah, but you can say whatever you want, no problem. But you tell me now what's happening with the Ukraine and Russia. How it's going to end. You tell me now.
I don't know. I think it'll de-escalate, and Ukraine will have to cede land to Russia, and Ukraine will still forever be paranoid that Russia's going to reinvade. They are training their population with the most hardcore propaganda you could ever imagine. All young people are being trained in how to dress and undress AK-47s.
Oh, I
and
thought
shoot.
it was a NATO issue. I thought that was a NATO issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, NATO should just go away. The U.S. should stop funding it. I mean, let Europeans deal with their own security. Why are U.S. taxpayers paying for European security? It's insane.
So that's what I was
So the problem in that proposition is, I try to learn about this as much as possible, and part of the reason why America is a global superpower, the only one, and China is not a superpower, but the US is. They will be sometime soon in the next impending decade, but at this moment they're not. And the reason why that happens is because dollar acceptance across the world is central to the American, hegemony. And people only use the dollar, because it comes with advantages, because it's the ultimate promise that you can make, particularly to people that you can't trust. And the problem is that if the US wants the dollar to be cherished, which I think is central, we'll all agree, to US interests, otherwise this kind of a printing press economy doesn't work. It doesn't work. Then the US will have to cut some slack for partners and allies and whatnot. And a part of that is to fund the NATO and to bring in global stability. So that's the reason why the dollar is accepted. And the moment the US says, well, which is perfectly rational, right? Don't get me wrong. From an American perspective, it's perfectly rational for them to say, let the Europeans do it. But comedian, the problem with that is, I say this with the greatest degree of respect, is that if the Europeans erect the EDF, which is, as you know, the defense force, European defense force, and if the US abandons the NATO, then it's going to compromise over long-time preferences the need for the world to embrace the dollar as though it is the ultimate promise to be made. And that's going to wreak havoc in the US economy. So one can't have the cake and eat it. And if the US wants the dollar to remain the principal currency of the world, then the US has to be seen to participate in running the world through institutions like the NATO, the World Trade Organization, and whatnot. And a part of that is to subsidize costs for other countries. And I'm afraid otherwise the US will be compromising something that's more vital to it, which is the future of the dollar.
Yeah, America is paying $100 billion a month on a $40 trillion mortgage. It's not sustainable, and taxpayers should be up in arms. I mean, we need a peace movement in America, because at $100 billion a month, even if we start paying down the debt, that means now we're paying, let's say, $90 billion a month, then maybe $87 billion a month. So it just never ends. We have created a debt bubble spiral that historically it only seems like war is the way to resolve debts. And so I don't know what these baby boomers are going to do, but I have an opinion that these baby boomers are that we could be on the precipice of World War III if we're not already in it. I mean, the Russia-Ukraine conflict is so devastating and bad, and you may live in your little bubble wherever you live and I live, but we've been untouched by these conflicts, and it is a world at war, and it is like a hidden World War III in many ways.
Ah. Well, so the thing is, insofar as the way in which U.S. can respond to something like this is concerned, just to weave it back into that, right? Part of the challenge for the US is to make sure that it pays off its debts really well and figure out a way to do it without raising the debt ceiling every year, which is something that Congress seems to have routinely, it seems to have gotten into a habit of doing that, breaching the debt ceiling, as you would know all too well. And part of that is perhaps to maybe sell off some of US assets within the mainland to trusted partners, raise the corpus that's required to pay off the debt, and swear to never, be frivolous by getting into a 20-year unending war, putting children of somebody else's at risk forever. And the way to do, there are more options up the U.S. sleeve than merely having to worry about this. I think they're likely to explore these options to get more inventive and creative to build the balance sheet, the American balance sheet, national balance sheet. It can be done. And I think America is, way too powerful, way too wise, way too sharp, and has the cunning to do that. What I would worry about is, however, withdrawal of America from global institutions, wherein, it yields and cedes space. Nature hates vacuum, right? It just hates. The moment you have vacuum, you have gunk filling it up. And all kinds of weirdos taking those positions and, leading to chaos across the world. So I think that American presence across the world, generally speaking, is a good thing. This is not to say that America is beyond criticism. One should assess things more carefully. But I would be very, very careful about U.S. withdrawal from global institutions. I would be very, very careful about that. Just to top that up, if I may, but the U.S. needs allies more than she did ever before. Because if you are to keep this green machine running, you're going to need people that are willing to accept it. And the way to do that is to inspire confidence in them. Like, imagine if you're a business guy and you have creditors waiting, and if you need more money, the way to do it is not to go to war with your current creditors, but instead woo future creditors with reasonable deals, perhaps take a haircut, but be willing to work with them and inspire confidence. And this is when the U.S. needs diplomacy forward, push massive charm offensive, bring in every major country, already major or one-day major, will be major, into the sphere of influence, tactfully, skillfully, and secure the future of the dollar for the foreseeable future. And this is all art. It's not a question of bringing a gun to the table. It's not going to work. People are proud, and everybody's proud who isn't. And they're not going to respond to that very well, given the world we live in. But sheer charm offensive that the U.S. has, she has a beautiful side to her. And showing up to the party with that tuxedo and wooing and seducing your friends, and this is something that the U.S. does very, very well, and I would submit that she considers doing that more keenly at this point in time. Comedian, I have a question for you, if I may. Comedian, are you there? For those of you that are just tuning in, hello to you. India has launched, as you might know, Operation Sindoor, which is a testimony to motherhood and women in India that have already lost their loved ones, aka their sons, husbands, boyfriends, as the case may be, to an act of terror funded entirely by Pakistan, the state. And to commemorate, if you will, those horrific deaths, 26 innocent lives being lost, one of them Nepalese and the other one, the 25 being Indian, particularly Hindu. And what does it matter which country and which religion you belong to, after all, if you're dead? And so India has launched this thing called Operation Sindoor, and we seem to have responded to Pakistani acts of terrorism by bringing down terror infrastructure, what is seen to be the first of a series of attacks, which will no doubt follow quickly. And now the cat has been set amongst the pigeons. If Pakistan seeks to retaliate yet again and risk going up the escalation ladder, there will be counter responses. So now it's up to Pakistani wisdom, if there is any such thing left in that country, to seek to de-escalate or risk losing it all. So for those of you that are within India, that are traveling inside, watch the government's advisory very, very carefully. Avoid certain areas. If there are instructions from the government in case of escalation, follow orders very, very clearly. No need to be too creative. The planners and the policymakers and the armed forces and security apparatus of the country know what they're doing, and this is your chance to play your part. And sometimes it's just to listen and obey instructions that have been given to you by enlightened men and women at the helm of affairs. So if you're instructed to follow drills, please do so. Try to avoid broadcasting online what's happening, Instagram, Facebook, whatnot. Resist the finger. Anything you do will be watched by people that are your adversaries. Don't give away intel in a hurry. This is not a religious war. For those of you that are predisposed towards thinking that it isn't. It is an act of war by the state of Pakistan against your people, our people, and the people of the world. And please don't succumb to rhetoric against traditions, anybody's religion. Do not succumb to this. It's a willful trap laid out by those that hate your kind and mine. Everything you stand for is hated by them. So the last thing you need to do is to play into the trap and start cussing at somebody else's religion. Do not do that. This is India, and this is a pluralistic society where everybody's truth is accepted. And the way you conduct yourself has to be a testimony, and you are the custodian of that tradition of inclusivity. Spare the innocent so that you can sharpen your knives against the complicit.
Yeah, the other problem you have is wherever a conflict breaks out with Muslims, there always seems to be a jihadist effect where international jihadists come to fight for the honor of other Muslims. So, without de-escalation, you end up getting like an ISIS caliphate effect with a lot of, especially with the polarization of media and how it becomes a mind virus. So the propaganda war is very important in terms of de-escalation and prevention of spreading images and videos of and lies, fake narratives. I mean, the whole Israeli-Palestinian Gaza conflict is a perfect example of one of the most polarized media events of all time on both sides. And so it's an integral part of war now, is the communication aspect.
I'm afraid so. So we have a press conference scheduled by the Indian government, and of course the military attaché is in about an hour and a half. That's in 90 minutes. And the Indian government will report to the Indian people as to what's transpired overnight and give you a factual summary of events. And so that you know exactly what to do and how to optimize and what to expect. And we have to wait and watch. Until then, you're likely to have a whole bunch of news that circulate online. It's best not to, one way or the other, whether it's for India or against it, it's best to not get too overwhelmed by it. Take it with a pinch of salt and wait for the government to give you precise updates, blow-by-blow accounts of what's likely to happen, what has happened last night. Also, for those of them that were warmongering in India, the media channels and whatnot, as though this is a game where nobody gets hurt. Thank you for not informing the Indian people the cost of war. And I say this with a degree of sarcasm in case that misses anybody. We've had a groundswell of public opinion against Pakistan and appreciate what the media did to galvanize that. Of course, that's important. But I think somewhere in this journey, we should have warned and reminded people that war is a painful act where innocents and civilians will die. And I don't think we've touched on that nerve. So congratulations for those of us that wanted this war. And congratulations to the media that built it up. And now, we have to wait and watch and see how this pathetic tendency to egg on a tragedy and applaud it with no integrity whatsoever. Sometimes it really baffles me how people can warmonger, certainly from Pakistan, but also from certain sections of Indian society. This is it's a problem. But good luck to you guys. If your parents are flying across within the country, or loved ones, your school friends, whoever, right now somebody's taking the boat back home. Somebody you love is queuing up in an airport right now, as we speak. And we got to spare a moment for those of them that are likely to be disconnected from the grid, and hope and pray that they go back home to their loved ones as soon as possible safely. A part of the reason why India took all of 12 days is to make sure that she stocks up, she allows people to warm up to this, the consequences of war and get people back to safe harbors as soon as possible. It's part of the reason why India took her time. And, we don't know how civilian life is going to be disrupted in this country for the next foreseeable future, the 2 weeks or impending week, or whenever Pakistan chooses to retaliate.
Yeah, I often wonder, like, responses, meaning like no response versus response, or the scale of the response. I don't know how people view India's response to the terror attacks by launching, coordinated attacks, but strength, is sort of relative. So I don't know. I think the best strategy is always to be like a ninja, where you don't make a big bang, you don't flash a lot of jewelry or make a big light. You do targeted assassinations, Don Corleone mafia style, and you take out the enemy that way. A surgery as opposed, to it blowing up the hospital. So, that's. But again, I mean, then sometimes you make a big response to do a show of force, to make a big splash, to get into the mind's eye that, this is a significant event, which maybe the bigger the flash in the mind's eye, the bigger the de-escalation. Um, so I don't know. There's just so many ways to always analyze these things, but you know, I don't see Islam as being a religion of peace. I see Hinduism as being a religion of peace, and if that's the case, that would mean that India has to be the bigger brother, and say, hey, we are 6,000 years old. You're just 600 years old, and as the big brother, we are going to demonstrate our strength through peace in a way by not. It's not that they shouldn't be punished, but that it has to be done psychologically, intelligently, for India's best possible outcome.
The song is just so beautiful. Like some of these gospel songs, it's just crazy.
Recognize patterns and the difference between things, right? Okay, I can understand that point in regards to this idea of mathematics, but that would still be only developed by understanding the difference, right? And you can even have some type of
bombs floating around. They have to wait until they hit something in order to make another duplication of itself. They don't have viruses. Do not move on their own. Debate me.
Yeah, Doc, debate him.
Somebody please Google, do viruses move on their own?
No, we don't need to
Googled it.
He just said debate him.
I think you need a
I asked.
Oh. Hey, Misha, how's it going on?
Anyway, you guys want to see this picture of Reese?
Why you gotta keep deleting my motherfucking comments?
That's not me.
Think you're some special Negro that's not violent, and like what, like is it because like you are hanging around white people? Like what made you not so violent?
So, this was a Houston, there's a Harris County captain that
Broken the slaves. I was right next to it.
I think you have to like be on the stage maybe or to the side.
Yeah.
You can shoot
You
the
see
weight.
yeah, you see the guy with the broken the slaves.
Somebody just.
There is one side that there is two guys, and one side that there is three. On the side of the tree, right behind the guy that far away from the kitchen, there is stairs.
Oh, so you have to step up to be on the stage.
Yeah.
What
That must
happened?
be some breaking news.
Where?
I don't know. Someone just wrote, is there any information on the names of the 3 hostages who were killed?
3 hostages that got killed.
That's what someone just wrote. So now I'm going to go on Jewish breaking news and see if I can find something. Nothing here.
This place is huge.
Is it really? Is it the first
Oh
time
my
here?
god. No. But I wasn't here for 5 years.
Okay, here's what I got. Hold on. Trump says 3 Israeli hostages held in Gaza have died. Donald Trump said that 3 more hostages held by Hamas in Gaza have died, bringing the number still alive to 21. Well, we've gone very slowly, Trump said, of efforts to end this conflict because we want to try and get as many hostages saved as possible, and we've done a good job in that regard. 2 weeks ago, I had continued. Is this from today? Hold on. Was it only 2 weeks ago? It was more than 2 weeks ago. No, this is from Tuesday, May 6th. Okay, this is not. So May 6th, they had more than
May
died?
6th is today.
Oh, it is today. Okay, so let me keep reading. 2 weeks ago, I had 10 hostages come in and they thanked me profusely. Trump continued the Oval Office meetings was in fact 2 months ago with 8 former hostages. The president then appeared to recount a conversation with the freed hostages about how many captives remained in Gaza. I said, how many people are left? Trump said they said 59. I said, oh wow, that's more than I thought. They said, well, only 24 are living, but now it's 21. Trump added, without revealing the source of his information, that was a week ago. Now it's 21 are living. I say 21 because of today it's 21, 3 have died. He did not provide any further details. This is a terrible situation, and the Israel military, in its most recent update, said that 251 people abducted, 58 are still held in Gaza, including 34 believed to be dead. Israel's military resumed its offensive in Gaza on March 18th, ending a 2-month truce that saw a surge in aid in the war. Hamas attacks resulted in the death of 1,218 people on the Israeli side, mostly civilians. The health ministry in Gaza said that at least 2,507 people had been killed since Israel resumed its campaign. That's it. They didn't name who's dead.
Yeah, but he doesn't. I don't know.
It might mean he got news and they're gonna break it tomorrow. Or after they tell the families. And also 6 hours ago he reported it in the Jerusalem Post.
I just hope that they're gonna look. There is one thing that we all need to understand. Those hostages not gonna come out alive.
What, the 21?
Yeah. Okay. You tell me how many times you find your own.
I found you wrong once.
When?
I'm not gonna say it here.
Why?
Because I don't want to say it.
No, feel free.
When you thought someone, I don't know who everybody is. I'm not gonna say it. When you thought Chaver Shalanu Hayam.
What's the pressure? Bitch, why you feeling my feelings like that? Because them niggas only been worth it. Like, them niggas, yeah, like, you could just see, like, it was trying to, happy for each other and shit. Like, it's how big right each other out. Like, that shit had me in fucking tears. He's talking about you big, fat, messy motherfucker. Oh, well, I deserve this. Show up, Time to pray? I'll pray another time. I'm busy.
Get your bitch ass nigga. Get the fuck up here.
Stupid.
Pussy.
You're stupid.
Stupid.
You got fucking fired, bro. Because you're fucking stupid. I like you. But you are fucking going with people who don't give a fuck about you, bro. You stupid fucking bitch. You call me a fucking nigger.
No, but what we all have in common is that whites, Middle Easterners, Asians, everybody, you know what they all want in America when they move here? None of them want to live around niggers. They want to live in a nigger-free zone where it's nice and safe. Their children don't have to deal with monkeys, okay? A fucking chimp zoo daycare. No, that's the fact.
Right. My mom's right.
Okay, so you're a quadroon or you're half.
This is why nobody finds black women attractive.
We got the suggestion of Elon Musk. Okay, she's jumping out. So just like calm down.
Oh yeah, no. You need to kind of get your shit straight, bro.
Can we put her on ice?
No.
This is too good. It's too good. They haven't invented ice.
So was you said your mom was?
Hey, let's fucking do it. You fucking.
What's up, street? You fucking
douchebag,
subletterate,
bro.
like you Negro. What the fuck you want to say, bitch?
Belligerents, bro. I fucking
What belligerents, you fucking dumbass? Why don't you say something articulate?
Belligerents, man.
Express yourself. I'm gonna be quiet. I want you to come up. I want you to make a good argument. Go ahead.
I fucking hate belligerents, man. I'm trying to get to understand
What does that even mean?
I don't even know what the fuck you're saying. You fucking chimp.
I fucking hate belligerents, bro. You're the fucking
belligerents. Amazing.
Nora, you
be specific about what you don't like that you heard.
Now the
You fucking retard.
saying the fucking N-word. And you see what you did? You dumb bitch. Dumb bitch. You dumb bitch, Nora.
Okay, I just hear a bunch of monkeys
Look what you
chirping.
did.
Like,
Look what you did. Look what you did. Look what you did. You gave them the okay. Look what you did. You stupid bitch. They hate your fucking religion. They think that your religion is the reason for the downfall of Western
You know what? The Muslims were right about one thing. During the Muslim slave trade, you know what they did? They clipped every nigga that got taken as a slave. They ended up clipping his nuts. That's why in the Middle East you don't see many black people or black. I'm being dead serious. People of black ancestry. Why? They're like, wow, these monkeys can't reproduce. They're fucking biohazard. They practice responsible farming. They handle their farming equipment responsibly. They did not let it go out of hand like it did in the United States, unfortunately. I mean, the Muslims kind of did that better than us.
You are straight fucking.
I'm a straight pussy.
Fucking dick sucker. You fucking cocksucker. Slow down a little.
Go ahead. I want to hear what this North American caveman ape has to say. Go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say, Street.
Hey, fucking with that cracker.
Pussy ass crack. Okay, what are you gonna do about it?
Bro, just fucking slow down, right, Craig?
What are you gonna do about it? I'm a pussy ass cracker.
You a belligerent fuck. You a belligerent fuck.
Do you want to pull up so I can take my belt off and spank the shit out of your black ass? Is that what you want? You want to get welts on those chocolate cheeks, you fucking faggot? You enjoy it, you fucking sodomite.
Fucking faggot. You zesty as fuck. Faggot ass. You a faggot ass cracker. Faggot ass cracker. Germany makes cracker. Fuck your ass. Spank this shit. Faggot ass cracker.
Yeah, you said spank that shit. You just told his white daddy to spank your shit. You fucking faggot.
Ass cracker.
The only thing you want cracked is your black butt cheeks. You want that shit split wide open.
The only thing you can think of is gay shit. You put that cracker.
Fucking butt broken.
I'll fuck your grandma.
You go her in the head. I think you'll be doing her
I'll fuck your grandmother, bitch.
You can do what you want. She'll shoot a nigger as soon as it comes unauthorized in
And
her
I have
fucking
a
house.
swallow on this dick. Fuck boy. And I have a swallow on this dick. Fuck boy. This big black dick. I have
You know what's funny is that maybe she'll call 911 and she's a bad shot, and then what'll end up happening is we'll get a police officer nailing on your nigger neck for 9 minutes.
If you're a bitch, I would take your bitch from you.
And we'll film
If
your
I
dumb
fuck
ass
your
dying.
bitch, I would take your wife from you. If I fuck your wife, I would take her from you. You guys got little ass peppers.
I don't have a wife.
Niggas,
If you meet her, like tell her I said hi.
hanging to their knees, boy.
Oh, you got a long dick. That's what you're saying.
I'm trying to tell you, I'll take your wife. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
No, you just got a fucking endoscopy scope, you thin ass dick. Fucking monkey, that's all you'll do. You stick it in niggers' buttholes. You're literally.
Yeah, you is a
That's
faggot,
literally all
bro.
you fucking do.
You is a faggot, bro. I swear to God, you was a white slave.
You do nothing. You want your chocolate cheeks fucking
You
clapped
was a
by
white
this
sex
cracker.
slave. That's all you can think about. Damn, you was your crack ass. Took your little manhood and freedom.
Why don't you go back to spreading AIDS and venereal diseases?
They threw away the key with the white ass.
Just like, you know.
They threw away the key with the white ass. They turned your ass every way but loose. Faggot.
You want to be locked in a room with me? So
They turned you every way but loose. Faggot. They turned you every way but loose. Faggot.
I got keys. You know what's funny? Any Which Way But Loose is a movie about a man and a monkey.
Well, this motherfucker's half monkey, so I mean, I don't know.
And you have snowflake.
Here. Or God had a sense of humor, that's why you hated niggers.
I'm half monkey, you have snowflake, bitch. What's wrong with you? What you call a bunch of, hey look, what do you call a bunch of white people in the elevator stuff? A box of crackers.
Go ahead.
A box of saltine crackers.
Oh my God.
How do you stop a black kid from jumping on the bed? When you put Velcro on the ceiling.
Mason!
Boo, that was lame as fuck.
Let's keep it going. Come on, the best racist jokes.
Huh? Let's
do our best race.
Let's go.
Yeah, go ahead. With your bubblegum lips, go ahead and tell us a funny joke about a saltine cracker.
Let's fucking go. You ready? You fucking ready?
Peppy, go. Give us one.
You fucking ready, bro?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go.
Alright, look. Alright, look. Check me out. Nah, don't laugh now. I'm gonna get on his ass. I swear, don't laugh now. I'm gonna get on his ass.
Can you do your transcript?
Yeah, that don't sound gay. Get on that.
Look.
time this nigger went to a doctor's appointment and he was told he was impotent. And so he ended up, on his way back home, he ended up buying a Cadillac, and his wife asked why, and he goes, because the doctor said I was impotent.
Oh, shit.
That's that.
Type shit. That was all you got, though? That's all you cover with?
I don't have these, like, canned jokes that I usually do.
No, I'm saying that's all you coming with? Because I'm finna fire your ass up now, cracker.
Oh, go ahead. Light my ass up like you fucking light each other up.
Look. What do you call a white person trying to do a crossover and shoot?
I don't know what.
White boys can't jump.
I don't get what's the crossover and shoot part though. I don't get it.
I don't know. It's nigger speak.
Oh my god.
Some of us white boys
between
get
a
it.
bench and a black man?
All hail
For the
Hitler.
family of 5.
All hail Hitler. All hail Hitler. All hail Hitler.
Hail fucking Hitler. Seek hell.
Oh, shit.
White fucking power.
Look, Oksana, I'm gonna have you know that. You know what I was married to a black
6 million
man,
was
so
not enough.
that's what you don't
The
know.
rest needs to get wiped out.
The new GTA 6 trailer looks great.
He was black, right?
All hail Hitler.
Yeah, he's a mulatto.
All hail Hitler.
There you go. So she's not racist, Oksana. She was married to a mulatto.
All hail Hitler.
By the way, I'm an 8 black.
She's a dickhead. And hey, I am 5% white. Now what?
What is it?
That's good. And I'm 1/8 black. I had one great grandparent that was black. Okay, so I'm an octoroon.
You're not white. You're brown.
I know because I'm an octoroon, but that shit's gonna be flushed out of my
German.
Laura, you're a sandwich.
I am 5% German. I am 5% German.
I'm an octoroon. I'm better than you. You're half black.
Yeah. Either
I'm literally.
Who gives a fuck?
You literally are you're a few generations away from being this great.
This racist Muslim
There's like
bitch.
Howard Stern's
You
black
dickhead
guy.
bitch. There's some black people there trying to fucking defend you. You fucking Palestine, whatever. Yeah, fuck
She is a racist. She's
no, what?
the whole Africa know her.
How about nigger? How about nigger?
You know what? No, Palestine. You know, actually, Gaza's kind of base.
Racist
They had the elite quarters where they made all the niggers live in one area. That's fucking amazing. They still practice segregation. Isn't that cool?
Look who's being racist now, cracker.
Yeah. You got the fucking nigger. Now what?
Oh, now what?
Now what?
Now what?
Now what?
It
Now
doesn't
what?
trigger us.
People will never accept
Okay, cool. So let's shut the fuck up when I'm talking. Right? Anyways, right?
You ain't
This
saying
bitch.
nothing.
Shut up. This bitch.
You ain't saying nothing, motherfucker. My God.
Wait, how?
Excuse me.
My
Excuse me.
God.
I can't say anything if you keep fucking talking over me. Do you understand? Do you want to fucking stand?
Your existence isn't even supposed to be acknowledged. Like, you fucking.
Oh,
The racist bitch, yeah.
And this is why, actually, more and more, actually, fuck Palestinians, because again, what
I'm not a Palestinian.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, right?
I'm just saying that there's some overlap. Maybe some humans need to be put in your place.
She broke the threshold, and now look at this shit. And but she's not fucking mute. But apparently, free Palestine. Fuck Palestine. And yeah, fucking fuck Gaza.
Well, no, a nigger's speaking and she's got better things to do.
Fuck Gaza.
Don't
Fuck
take it
that
personally.
shit, bro. I'm like a dickhead, bro. Again. Yeah, but fuck Gaza, bro. Fuck that, bro. Are you mad? Because again, none of you guys said the N-word until she's fucking said it. And when she said it, now everyone's saying it now. Right? Because she's a fucking dead little fucking racist, yeah?
That's because we all hate niggers. That's all. It's just, that's nothing personal.
Yeah, it's like,
Brother. No, stop. I don't worry. I'm playing it. But she's the shittest Muslim I've ever fucking met. Right? Because for me, yeah, again.
I think they use it bidet so they don't like have shit stuck in the gumbo.
For me,
unlike your people, they don't have these nappy, just like the nappy pubic hairs on your head. You guys have these gnarly beady things all over around your butthole that like sticks to all of the poop, and you try to wipe it off with toilet paper. It doesn't quite wipe off that well. It's so coily. The hair's so coily. Gross. But they rinse their buttholes.
Desperate for what?
I can hear you, right? She's desperate for white male attention, bro. That's why she's again.
She was married
guys
to
listen.
a black man. Do you understand
And
that?
Diego, I don't care. Still, white people allowed to black people are still racist. You don't fuck.
Yeah, dude, we have no problem admitting we're racist.
I mean, Mexican. If you go to Mexico, you might hear the word like mayate. You might hear lots of things. It's not that you're pretty. It's that you're a fucking dung beetle. You know, basically a black beetle that rolls around in its own dung. That's what I'm.
I understand that, but
so it's just metaphysically impossible that there would be no God. And because God is the constituent explanation for all of that, which is this.
I understand that, but I'm asking you a very simple question. So God creates the world the way God wants to, whatever the case is, and then okay, look, God is eternal, right? So does that mean that there was always truth, or was God before truth?
What? I mean, I don't really understand
the concept of truth is that which comports to reality. What? Am I loud, guys?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I gotta talk a little. So okay, thank you. So she's just trying to embarrass me because she knows people are listening. Okay, there he goes. So sorry about that. So God, basically, so I'm saying that the concept of truth in itself, right? It relates to reality somehow, right? Like if there's no reality, you don't really have truth, right?
Well, I mean, truth is just a relationship that holds between descriptions of reality and reality itself.
Okay, so if there is no
to say that something is true is just to say that it bears a certain relation to reality.
So I'm saying this: if there's no reality, is there truth?
No, of course not.
Okay, so is God a form of reality? Like, meaning, does God create reality? Is God reality?
Probably.
Like, what's the step when it comes to reality? Did God create the concept of reality? Like, how does reality relate to God?
Yeah, so reality is just the totality of all that which exists. Now, God is existence, but he's not identical to everything which exists.
Okay, so
because just like redness, you know, it may be exemplified by the red truck and by the apple, but it's not identical to either of them. You know?
Okay, fine. What I'm saying is this. So we know that existence and reality somehow relate, right? What I'm saying is this. If there's no reality, there's no truth, according to you. God exists before reality, right?
Well, no.
Was reality always there with God?
Reality is just a description of the totality. It's just a collection of things. There was a point in time where all that reality was God. You know.
Okay, so that means
prior to creation, you could say
there's always been reality. Right? To some degree, how about that?
Yeah, I mean necessarily and eternally there is reality.
Didn't choose to exist, which means that God doesn't ground truth. I would even say in this case, truth grounded.
You're just making a bunch of illogical inferences.
No, look. You said a second ago, truth is that which corresponds to reality. And you said if there was no reality, there would be no truth. That's what you said. Then I asked you about the relationship between God and reality. And then I said, fine. When there was
but did you hear what I said about it?
No. I didn't. Yes, I'm trying to recap, and you can tell me where I went wrong. I said fine. When God only existed, there's at least some kind of reality. He said, yeah, right.
But because God exists, there is reality.
Because God exists, there's a reality.
You need to distinguish between two different types of order.
Fine.
There's a chronological order, right? And then there's this.
How did fucking
you can't have truth if there's
in the
no
Matrix
reality,
the Lord
there's
Fishburne is
always
like
been a reality because something's always existed, right?
Right, God.
It's so true.
Okay, God. We're gonna call God like
but hey, look, first episode
like the thing that's always existed, which allowed reality to be the way it is, right? Is that fine?
The reason why there is anything at all is because God is self-existent and necessary.
Okay. God gives birth to reality, right?
God explains the existence of reality.
God explains the existence of reality. But what you said earlier is that as long as there's existence, there's a reality. And reality
and God is existence itself.
And God is existence. But God didn't choose to exist, right?
Not irrelevant.
Okay, if it's irrelevant, what I'm saying is this, is that truth really has nothing to do with God, right? And the reason why is because God had no choice but to always exist. And as long as there's existence...
Okay, but why in order to explain something, do you need to choose it?
Here's why. Suppose there was like something else that always existed. Let's just say a rock, right? Because if you hold a position that there was no intentional fucking non-physical mind, you just said something always existed, right? Well, that by your definition is a form of reality, right? And that right there is all you need for truth.
But that's incoherent.
No, it's not.
Yes, because you're saying that something exists without existence.
No, you're saying...
Well, no, God is existence itself. To say that the rock exists is just to say that it derives its existence from existence itself.
I know that's what you're saying, right? You're saying, look, God is existence. Without God, there's no existence. There's just no thing, right? Right?
Right.
Okay, so work with me here. So now that we have this concept of God being what existence is without it, right? We also know that existence is basically a necessity to reality, right?
What? Repeat that last part.
Existence and reality, right, are like mended together, correct?
Well, just reality is just the description of all that which exists.
Correct. And as long as something exists, you will always have a reality, right?
Yeah, right? Because reality is just describing that something exists.
Fine. Like, I can tell by your pause, you think I'm like going to trap you. I'm trying to...
No, I'm just... It's literally just... I feel like we're going in circles at this point.
Okay, we are, because I don't understand why it's confusing. What I'm trying to say is, look, if reality is the contingency of the truth, right, and God has always just existed, then, like, God's mind and all this other stuff is irrelevant, right? Because your God...
No, that just doesn't follow.
No, look, suspend your belief for a second, right? If your God was like this kind of like dumb thing that had like, let's just say 2%.
He couldn't possibly be that. It's inconceivable that he could be that.
I conceived it right now.
No, you didn't. You just merely thought that you did. And that's the problem is that conceivability, there's additional conditions for conceivability just besides the fact that you think it's coherent.
Such as what?
And we can go through, and I can show you the absurdity of that, what you're saying.
Actually, let's put this. Hold up. Let's just look at define. Let's see what defines conceive means. Right?
Yeah, you can just go to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy for conceivability.
Just on ChatGPT. What are you saying conceive is? Mike's been not slow while I was thinking.
What do you say?
What are you saying conceive is?
Okay, so there's basically certain conditions for conceivability, basically.
Okay.
Where
so form an idea in your mind or create something like plan thought. So like.
Well, there's actually.
So.
No, but you can't. So there's some things that are inconceivable, like a square circle, where a person might delude themselves into thinking that they conceived of it, right? So a person might think of a squircle in their mind, right? Which is a circle with rounded edges. I mean, it's like a square with rounded edges. And a person might say that.
Black struggle, though. Why you gotta be fucking this crack in front of me? Oh, man.
Actually,
you take hormones.
I don't have to take hormones. Like
you sound like you're full of estrogen.
What kind of hormones do you have to take?
You sound like a straight bitch.
Okay, yeah, say it to my face.
And I know it's not the first time you heard that.
Well, I've heard it from niggers like you all the time. I mean, it's amazing.
Because you sound like a little bitch. The man that has no fucking manhood.
No manhood, amazing.
You're less of a man. I am. I'm vaccinated. I'm a real human being.
Oh, you're unvaccinated.
So,
I love how you can't come up with like an intelligent person doesn't say I'm unvaccinated. That's why I'm intelligent.
Daddy, how long?
It's only a student phone that can get course to say gene editing.
How long has Kanye West been an inspiration of yours, Daddy?
It's a movement. Like the real Jews are taking their crown. You know what I'm saying?
We was kings.
You know what Hitler would have if he couldn't get rid of you, which he could have because you guys can't. You guys are so unsophisticated. Here's the thing. He looked at Jews as subversive radicals problems. Right? He looked at blacks.
Lobster doesn't get any
being
fresher than
literal.
this. Cut by Wolfgang Puck in the Palazzo in Las Vegas is a 2-pound homemade lobster with black truffle emulsion, and it's wonderful. You essentially get lobster two ways, with the head and tail being pan-fried and then finished in the oven. The clawing is then luxuriously baked in butter, then added to this beautiful bread. The server shells a triple side, followed by drizzling the awesome black truffle emulsion over everything. This is listed as an entree, but I could honestly see this as a shared side dish. The current price is $155.
That's why
Lobster doesn't get any fresher than this. Cut by Wolfgang.
Worship. Bottom of the rung, like bar none. He thought that he literally wanted to model Germany off of how we did segregation in the South. He thought they were absolute pieces of shit. He didn't even take them seriously. There's not much to be said about them because they're fucking filth. They can't. I won't even get into it, but he was never gonna have respect for any black person or black people in general. They were literally at the bottom. He beneath him and his Yeah, she was just I think she was
she started like doing like this Valley Girl voice, mocking you and attacking you. I was like, hey, you don't have to do that. That's all I said. And they're like, you are defending a white man who hates your. It just went off on me, and it's like,
nigger for everybody else.
Well, what did she say? She was like, these blah 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 bitches. I was like, I'm a widow. And then she goes, and then she says something. She's like, should have picked up a husband with a better genome. And I was like,
I think you called her a nigger.
no, I didn't. And then I didn't. And then after when she said that, that's the nigger in her. So that's why I said it. Because she said that.
I am like this really weird thing though that like I don't get. So like, okay, and like I think you're a little guilty of it, Diego. So
Texas hot.
There are people like me who, okay, we could talk. We could, you know, I don't have. You know, I have a lot of critiques of Jews. I don't like hate them or believe in the conspiracy theory shit. But siding with Muslims who ultimately Muslims are like they're never going to be your ally. That's my opinion. But then, like, I see this trend going on for the last couple of years. But then I see like even Kanye, he's just mentally ill. So I'm not even going to like pin any of this shit on him. But like, all of these dumb blacks who want to be kind of like cool and I guess fit in with the racist white people and I guess like say hail Hitler and like he was at that time eugenics was